Amidst the stillness of the cold ocean waters, two nations quietly clashed over fishing rights, unaware of the monumental impact their conflict would have on international relations. As tensions rose beneath the surface, the fishermen became pawns in a geopolitical game, their livelihoods caught in the undertow of secrecy and rivalry. With each passing day, the invisible war escalated, pushing allies to the brink as strategies unfolded in the shadows. The stakes grew higher as the once peaceful waters became battlegrounds, with skirmishes breaking out over rich fishing grounds. While the world remained blissfully unaware, alliances began to shift, and the very foundations of diplomacy were tested in silence. As the conflict simmered, it became clear that this was not just a battle for fish, but a struggle for supremacy on the high seas. The ramifications of this silent war echoed far beyond the coastlines, reshaping maritime laws and challenging the status quo of naval power. In the aftermath, the world finally began to recognize the hidden conflict's significance, marking a pivotal moment in the history of diplomacy and military strategy. In 1958, Iceland made a decision that shocked the world as it expanded its fishing zone from 4 nautical miles to 12. At the time, this was radical, almost unthinkable. Britain refused to recognize the claim. British trawlers continued fishing as they always had. So Iceland sent patrol ships, not warships, Coast Guard vessels. And with that quiet decision, the First Cod War began. No announcement, no headlines, just tension building in cold Atlantic waters. As the days passed, skirmishes began to occur between Icelandic patrols and British trawlers. Tensions escalated, leading to blockades and confrontations over fishing rights. Both nations stood their ground, unwilling to back down from what they viewed as a matter of sovereignty. As the Cod War continued, international attention began to turn towards the escalating conflict. Iceland's determination and resilience began to inspire other nations, highlighting the importance of national waters. The conflict would last several years, shaping the future of fishing regulations around the world. Ultimately, the Cod War forced a re-evaluation of maritime boundaries and fishing rights globally. In a bid for independence, Iceland unveiled its surprising strategy to defend its waters. As the cold Atlantic waves crashed against the shore, a covert operation unfolded beneath the surface. With stealth and precision, the Icelandic fishermen began their mission to protect their fishing grounds from foreign encroachment. As the wire cutters sliced through British fishing nets, the impact echoed across the icy waters, sending shockwaves through the fishing industry. In a matter of moments, millions of pounds were lost, illustrating the severity of the conflict without a single shot fired. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, British naval escorts were dispatched to protect their interests in the frigid waters. The confrontation escalated as Icelandic ships boldly rammed into the British escorts, refusing to back down from their sovereignty. Steel clashed against steel, resulting in a chaotic scene of injured men and damaged vessels, yet still the threat of war hung in the balance. Amidst the turmoil, a surprising reality settled over the icy waters. Despite the escalating tensions, no war was declared. In the shadow of the ocean tides, the aftermath of over 50 ship collisions left fishing communities reeling and vulnerable. Lives were put on the line as sailors faced the grim reality of life-threatening dangers at sea. As millions of pounds were lost, the once thriving British fishing communities crumbled under the weight of despair. Boats that were once symbols of livelihoods and heritage were left abandoned and ultimately scrapped. The ports once bustling with activity and life now echoed with an unsettling silence. And yet amid this turmoil, no medals were awarded to those who bravely faced the chaos of the sea. No memorials were constructed to honor the sacrifices made by fishermen and sailors during this unspoken conflict. The absence of official recognition was a grim reminder that this war at sea remained hidden from the world. Acknowledging the reality of this maritime struggle would have compelled nations to take action, stirring the waters of diplomacy. However, taking action could have unleashed consequences far more severe than the quiet tragedies that unfolded at sea. In Britain, families watched as centuries-old livelihoods vanished, leaving towns built around the sea devoid of purpose. In Iceland, victory arrived tinged with anxiety as the shadows of potential retaliation loomed large. Fear of isolation gripped the hearts of many, creating an invisible barrier between allies and adversaries. Standing alone against the world was no longer a matter of choice, but a harsh reality that tested resilience. This was not a moment of triumph. It was a fight for survival that revealed the fragility of their existence. A reminder that even peaceful victories leave scars marking the landscape of their lives with invisible wounds. In this delicate balance of hope and fear, the community clung to each other for strength amid uncertainty. Through shared stories and collective memories, they found solace in their shared experiences and age-old traditions. As the nights grew longer, the bonds among them deepened, forging a resilience that nobody could take away. In the face of adversity, the spirit of the community shone brightly, igniting a flicker of hope for the future. The conflict remains largely unacknowledged in educational narratives, leaving many unaware of its complexities. Because words have consequences, calling it a war would have triggered NATO's mutual defense obligations. It would have demanded retaliation, escalation, possibly bloodshed. So leaders chose a different path. They chose silence. And silence erased the conflict from popular memory, even as it reshaped international law. The absence of this narrative leaves students and citizens alike ill-equipped to understand the complexities of modern geopolitics. As a result, the lessons of history are lost in the shadows. Ultimately, the silence creates a dangerous precedent for future conflicts where the truth can be overlooked or ignored. It becomes essential to advocate for the inclusion of all histories in our educational frameworks. By amplifying these voices, we can foster a more informed and empathetic global society. Incorporating these narratives will not only enrich our understanding, but also prevent the repetition of past mistakes. It empowers future generations to recognize the significance of their voices in shaping history. Iceland's victory marked a pivotal moment in maritime history, reshaping the world's approach to oceanic boundaries. The 200-mile exclusive economic zone became the global standard, giving nations greater control over their marine resources. Every coastal nation adopted it, transforming the landscape of international waters and sovereignty. Today, nearly all modern maritime borders trace back to this forgotten conflict that changed the rules of engagement. A war fought without bullets, yet it wielded the power to redefine alliances and economic strategies worldwide. This remarkable saga ultimately rewritten how humanity controls the oceans, establishing a legacy that endures to this day. In the process, it sparked debates and discussions on environmental stewardship and sustainability in marine practices. As nations strive to balance economic interests with ecological responsibilities, the legacy of Iceland's victory remains ever relevant. Looking ahead, the challenge will be to navigate these complex waters while fostering cooperation among nations to protect our oceans. History teaches us about empires, invasions, and bloodshed, but some wars leave no ruins behind. They leave laws, borders, and consequences. The Cod Wars prove that power does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, and still changes the world forever. This was the war that never officially happened, yet its impact was felt across nations and generations. From economic changes to shifting alliances, the effects were profound. The Cod Wars remind us that conflict often extends beyond the battlefield. They serve as a testament to the complexities of power and sovereignty. In the end, history often records the whispers louder than the roars. The legacy of the Cod Wars continues to influence today's maritime policies. And as we reflect on these events, we realize the importance of diplomacy over conflict. For history teaches us that the true victors are those who build bridges, not walls. Ultimately, every conflict carries the potential for growth and understanding, and thus the lessons of the past shape the futures we strive to create. In the end, our shared history is a canvas of both triumphs and tribulations. Together we can learn from the past and forge a path towards a more harmonious